Senator Clay Higgins. You know, on or around September 1st, you posted on your Facebook page a response to the possibility of the organization, the NFAC, supposedly coming to our hometown of Lafayette, Louisiana to take part in a protest. Now, I've been checking out this organization for some time, and I must say that I have not heard or seen of any demonstrations or protests that were unpeaceful or resulted in any type of violence. I have not heard of any of them showing any hostility towards law enforcement officials or even heard of them being arrested. Clay, you were once a police officer. In fact, you were a policeman with the Opelousas Police Department from 2003 to 2007. And then from there you went to Port Barry from 2007 to 2010 and jumped over to St. Landry Sheriff's Department from 2011 to 2016. While you were a police officer, you were assigned to patrol, you were assigned to civil, and you were a public information officer as well as a part-time SWAT. In 2019, while speaking at the Michael Cohen congressional hearing, you stated that you have arrested thousands of men as you compared Michael Cohen to them. Let's talk about where you and I worked. First off, Higgins, the population of Opelousas, Louisiana is between 15 to 16,000 people. The population of Port Barry is 1,500 to 2,000. And the total population of St. Landry is about 80,000 people. Now, the population of Lafayette, where I work, the parish of Lafayette, is 200,000. The population of the city of Lafayette, where I work, is roughly 130,000 folks. In my 21 years of law enforcement, assigned to patrol, street narcotics, metro narcotics, the FBI gang task force, and SWAT, considering the size of Lafayette and my years in service, anyone in law enforcement and who's familiar with law enforcement knows that even I, supposedly making thousands of arrests, not hundreds but thousands, is a complete stretch of the imagination. But you, Clay Higgins, claiming 11 years in Port Barry, Opelousas, and St. Landry Parish, that you have made thousands of arrests. You posted a picture of black men, members of the NFAC, exercising their Second Amendment rights to bear arms and to protest, with a statement stating that if this shows up, we'll consider the armed presence of real threat. Clay Higgins, you said we the people of Louisiana and make reference to one-way ticket, so have your affairs in order. Now, you don't have to be a graduate of high school to understand that terminology is used to make reference to either someone dying or someone going to jail for a lengthy amount of time. Now, I would have to rule out going to jail because you, yourself, a sitting senator, made reference to dropping at least 10 of them while drinking a beer because of your affiliation with SWAT. You see, what you should have did when you heard Monroe make reference to the NFAC coming in 48 hours, what you should have did was something that we did before fighting overseas with the 24th Infantry and serving search warrants while in narcotics. It's something called gathering intel and verifying the validity of your information. If I can speak to Grandmaster Jay by simply picking up the phone and calling him, why couldn't you, a sitting senator, pick up the phone and verify this information from the man who runs the organization? What gets me about people like you, Higgins, is you try to be so patriotic and pro-American, but in the same breath you shit on the fundamental rights guaranteed under the Constitution by stating that you would actually kill Americans on American soil for exercising their constitutional rights to bear arms and to assemble. You know, one of the first gun laws enacted, it was actually passed in 1620 or 21 in Virginia, which forbid blacks from possessing guns. And then, of course, in 1791, the Second Amendment to the Constitution was ratified. But, of course, blacks were still unable to possess firearms because we weren't even considered people, let alone Americans. You see, Higgins, it's people like you back then who probably endorsed those sentiments. Because today in 2020, you are making reference to killing black men and women for doing the same thing that white men did in Michigan, with the exception of charging their way into a federal building and getting in police officers' face as they scream obscenities. Screaming obscenities not because their sons and brothers, sisters and nieces, daughters and aunts were being killed by the police while unarmed. Not because they're being denied loans and real estate because of their race. Not because they were denied entry into an establishment or a club. Not because people called the police on them because they were jogging in their neighborhood, delivering FedEx packages in a FedEx truck, falling asleep in their college library after studying, but because they didn't want to wear a damn mask and wanted to completely open up the country during a pandemic, regardless of the consequences. Not only did you not criticize that action of those protesters, but you, Higgins, you endorsed this attitude by condemning the actions of your own state governor for implementing mandates that would reduce the death rate from COVID-19 in Louisiana. Now, if I'm wrong about the NFAC, somebody please send me a picture or an article of them pushing their way into a federal building or screaming in the face of local law enforcement. Please, somebody send it to me. Make me aware of it. I haven't seen it. So if it has happened, let me know. With that being said, I can't understand why you, Higgins, is so mad at the predominantly black organization and not mad at the white organization for not only protesting while armed, but doing even more by showing blatant disrespect to government officials and law enforcement, especially considering you were once a cop. Folks like you, Clay, have been showing their ugly face a lot more frequently. Folks who talk shit on Facebook, but then walk around in public with their gun on their hip. Then you have the nerve to wear a badge and a gun on your belt as you walked around Lake Charles to view the damage from the hurricane. It's funny how you can threaten and harm people. You can throw out threats of harming people. But you're so quick to have folks arrested when they do the same to you. In your Facebook page, you say, "We the people of Louisiana." Like, who in the hell told you that you represent us? You can't speak for the entire state of Louisiana. You can't speak for the entire city of Lafayette. Who in the hell told you that everyone in Louisiana agrees with your statement? Then you have the audacity to beat your chest because you were a member of the St. Landry Sheriff Department SWAT team. Higgins, I've spent more time on SWAT alone than you have spent in your whole entire law enforcement career. In fact, the people who trained you in SWAT at the Lafayette City Police Department back when you went through, guess who trained them? Me. You can check it out. It's public information. And from what I heard, you wasn't even that impressive, my man. I've spoken to Grandmaster Jay, and on October 3rd, the NFC will be coming to Lafayette, Louisiana as a collaborative force with activists from Louisiana to address several things that have taken place in Louisiana, to include being threatened publicly by a Louisiana senator. So, Higgins, to show opposition to your Facebook post, to show and express that everyone has a right guaranteed by the Constitution to assemble and bear arms regardless of their race, gender, and religion, I'm hoping that hundreds, and thousands gather in opposition of a cruel and biased statement. I'm hoping that once you look upon the crowd from wherever you are and you will see the numbers, then you yourself will be convinced that you yourself could only wish that you could have arrested thousands, as you say. It's time to show you, Higgins, and folks like you, that we're not in the year of 1620, and you cannot threaten to kill protesters because they are black and armed. From New Orleans to Vinton, Shreveport to Homer, New Iberia, Opelousas, Carencro, Lafayette, Dusson and Scott, Brobridge and Cecilia, Alexandria, Baton Rouge. We are inviting and urging candidates from the upcoming election for city marshal, district court judge, take part in what may be the biggest and peaceful assembly of people since the January 6th protests. If you disagree with what Higgins said, show up peacefully. If you disagree with the trend that's taking place around the country and in Louisiana as it relates to law enforcement, show up. If you disagree with the reason why more black and brown people are at a higher risk of dying from not only coronavirus, but from many other illnesses, show up. On October 3rd, I will be there as a black man, a black father, a black grandfather, a black law enforcement officer, and a black veteran. See you there.